No other player in the league's had more than 3. And he's a 29-year-old with an injury history. The game was out of reach. They already have 2 fewer days to prepare for a very good team, Chicago. And that game means something for the Niners. Christian McCaffrey next week will blow through Saquon Barkley's touches of last year, which if you've watched Saquon this year, he feels like a bit of a shot fighter. In fact, if you look at most touches among teams in playoff positions, McCaffrey not only leads the league, he's a mile ahead of number 2 James Cook. So congrats to Brock Purdy. Best game as a pro. The last 2 games for Purdy, and he deserves credit. He finally looks healthy. Now, Mac Jones was good. Garoppolo's good. This is a very quarterback-friendly offense, but Brock last night was spinning it, and he deserves credit. He can move now. The other thing is congrats on beating 44-year-old Phillip Rivers. We can all laugh at that, but I love watching Phillip Rivers play, and way to go. And congrats to me because I went 4-0-1 in my Blazing 5 picks, and I had the Niners as my second favorite bet. But if you noticed how the Rams now are using Blake Corum at running back with Kyren Williams, they're shuttling him back. Have you noticed the Bears using both running backs? Have you noticed the Patriots using 2 running backs? And yet the Niners, in a blowout, are giving the ball to Christian McCaffrey 27 times. In the Niners' 4 losses this year, they have all been games in which the week before, McCaffrey had at least 27 touches. The next week, they go 0-4. He's the 3rd best running back I've ever seen, but they're overusing him. Again, congrats on beating Phillip Rivers. But now George Kittle is hurt. And if you don't think Kittle matters, listen to this. The last 2 years, Kyle Shanahan has a losing record when George Kittle doesn't play. In fact, if you take out quarterbacks in the NFL, I will make the argument that George Kittle, because of his incredible blocking ability, is the most valuable player in this league that is not a quarterback. They score 7 points more a game when George Kittle plays. That is incredible. I don't care how good Gronk was, Tony Gonzalez. There's never been a tight end worth a touchdown except George Kittle in Kyle Shanahan's offense. So listen, the Colts were missing their top 2 corners. We said it yesterday on the show. The Niners were going to eat. They haven't punted since November. Brock, it was a 7-on-7 summer drill. When he moves like he's moving now, he's a handful. But this is why I'm reluctant to embrace San Francisco. This team falls apart early and late. And I look at them last night and I'm like, I love McCaffrey. I know his dad. I love him. He's one of my favorite players in league history. Walter Payton's the best back I've ever seen. Second is Barry Sanders. On a short list, McCaffrey's 3rd. In my opinion, I think he could play wide receiver, slot receiver in this league. 27 touches when you're already playing late Monday on the road. Now you got to go back home. The Bears played Saturday.
I feel like we might be focusing on the wrong aspect of the discussion here. Let me be perfectly clear. I am a massive advocate for managing player workload and minimizing unnecessary physical strain. I've emphasized this point repeatedly. There are absolutely situations where a player should prioritize self-preservation, stepping out of bounds, sliding safely, avoiding that extra, punishing half yard to protect their body and ensure longevity throughout the grueling marathon of a season. That philosophy is paramount. So the idea of being strategic with a player of Christian McCaffrey's importance is not just valid, it's essential. I distinctly recall the lead-up to the Super Bowl during the 49ers' 2023 playoff run. McCaffrey appeared to be laboring, requiring attention to his calves, sparking legitimate concern about his peak readiness for the ultimate game. Ensuring a talent like that is at 100% for the postseason is a critical organizational objective. First, immense credit must be given to the 44-year-old Phillip Rivers, who delivered a phenomenal performance. Let's not overlook that. However, the focal point is the surgical precision of the 49ers' offense. Their execution was elite, bordering on flawless. I acknowledge the context. The Indianapolis Colts are not at full strength, and their current iteration isn't the formidable unit we saw earlier in the season. Placing them in the hierarchy is challenging. They aren't in the same category as the league's bottom dwellers, yet their record is inflated by early season successes achieved with a different roster composition. Nevertheless, discounting San Francisco's performance would be a mistake. This was high-level professional execution against an NFL opponent. This victory becomes even more significant when considering the preseason and early season narratives surrounding Brock Purdy. There was a subtle, persistent undercurrent of doubt. Conversations about whether the investment in him was justified. Whispers about possibly leaning more on the run game with McCaffrey. It never reached the fever pitch of calls to bench a starter, but the skepticism was palpable. What we witnessed, however, was the definitive answer: the potent symbiosis between Purdy and head coach Kyle Shanahan. The tired trope of, well, he has Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel, quickly surfaces. It's an absurd critique that selectively follows certain quarterbacks. When Patrick Mahomes struggles, the immediate refrain cites the absence of key weapons. The revelation seems to be that even the most gifted quarterbacks benefit from talented teammates, a universal truth in the sport. Purdy orchestrated a near-perfect game. The lone interception was an errant high throw, a mistake that, in the tightly contested hierarchy of weekly performances, cost him the absolute top spot in my personal evaluations. Yet, he also delivered an insane, would-be touchdown throw that was incorrectly not reviewed. His command was total. Because of this win, the 49ers have not just held their ground, they've actively leapfrogged the Los Angeles Rams in the standings. This is the pivotal reality. We can dissect injury concerns and workload management, important topics. But the tangible outcome is a superior position in the playoff race. The Rams have a more forgiving schedule and should win their final 2 games. The 49ers face a tougher closing stretch, a loss there wouldn't be shocking or condemnable. The fact that they are in this position, poised to potentially seize the NFC's number 1 seed and the accompanying first-round bye and home field advantage, is remarkable and deserves to be the headline. Before I delve further, a sincere request to the 49ers faithful. Please watch these videos in their entirety and consider subscribing. Your engagement creates a tremendous ripple effect. When you do this, it fuels exponential growth in viewership and community size. My ambition is transparent. I am striving to reach a significant subscriber milestone before the playoffs commence. This goal is my personal Super Bowl. Achieving it would enable next-level engagement, like live streaming playoff games, transforming analysis into a shared, communal event. This channel is a we, not a me. Your participation is what builds this space into a grounded, unbiased hub for genuine 49ers discourse. Now, back to the core debate. The question posed seems to center on whether San Francisco is a dark horse contender, but the commentary gets sidetracked by McCaffrey's touch count and Deebo Samuel's health. Yes, the team has dealt with injuries. The reasons are multifaceted and not easily attributed to any single factor like practice intensity. To claim Saquon Barkley looks shot is profoundly incorrect. The issue isn't his talent or physical decline. It's an offensive line that frequently allows penetration, making him among the league leaders in runs met at or behind the line of scrimmage. When lanes exist, he still explodes. The problem is schematic predictability and blocking issues, not a diminished runner. The paramount objective is unequivocally to keep Christian McCaffrey healthy. Could Shanahan be more conservative? Undoubtedly. But this is a league-wide blind spot. I have never understood why coaches, up multiple scores in decided games, continue to feed their star running backs. We saw it with the Eagles last season and countless other examples. I famously criticized the Buffalo Bills for a similar lapse, where Josh Allen took an unnecessary, forceful hit on a quarterback sneak in a game already in hand. The "it's a tough man's game" ethos must be balanced with the art and science of peak performance. In any elite competition, weightlifting, sprinting, marathon running, athletes taper and manage load. They don't go max effort daily. Football, with its inherent violence, should logically incorporate more of this strategic preservation, especially when the outcome is secure. Perhaps there's an argument that a consistent workload is part of McCaffrey's unique rhythm. But given his history and irreplaceable value, erring on the side of caution seems prudent. However, fixating solely on this management question risks overshadowing the monumental achievement at hand. We are downplaying what the 49ers have accomplished. They are 11-4. Their offense is humming with the terrifying efficiency reminiscent of their most dominant recent seasons. They have positioned themselves to potentially claim the NFC's top seed. That is the story. That is the conversation. How can the narrative be anything other than their resurgence as a legitimate top-tier championship contender? The discussion about load management is a valid, parallel thread, but it should not eclipse the primary headline. The San Francisco 49ers are not a dark horse. They are a clear and present danger in the NFC, having executed their way back into the driver's seat for the postseason's most coveted advantages. Those are my perspectives. I am eager to hear yours. What do you think about Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, Kyle Shanahan, George Kittle, and the 49ers' current trajectory? Do you view them as under-the-radar contenders, or are they firmly in the circle of elite teams with a straight path to the title? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one, whether you agree or disagree. Let's spark some discussion, engage in some lively debate, and most importantly, enjoy the dialogue. Please don't forget to like this video. It genuinely helps with visibility. Thank you so much. See you next time.